This is for the fans. The Vibe.
You're listening to the Reds Report, sponsored by theterracestore.com, where customers are more than just an order number.
Welcome everybody, another episode of the Reds Report, another episode of the team behind the team, and today we're joined by a member of the Barnsley medical team. So we've had Tamar, we've had Chris, and with us today is Vikki Stevens, Barnsley physiotherapist. Hiya Vikki, thanks for joining us.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Vikki, physiotherapist at Barnsley Football Club. Was that always sort of your career aim, to go to a club that soon will be Premier League? Or
no, it weren't at all actually. I just kind of fell into it. So I always played football when I was younger, and then as a young adult, and typical ex physio, I got an injury, so I couldn't play anymore. So basically, I went through my rehab. I decided to be a physio assistant. I got a job there, and then just kind of stumbled into going into uni to study physio. But I've always worked at Sheffield Children's Hospital. I worked there to start with. And because I only stumbled at Barnsley FC because I couldn't work because of health and safety in the NHS because I have a knee operated on. So I was twiddling my thumbs at home, and Seji was the head physio then as well. He'd put an advert out saying he needed some interns. I'd just qualified, so I was like, well, I've got to keep myself busy. And then, I just worked my way into it. So I was an intern and then ended up at the academy, and then just worked my way up really to first team.
wow.
But I did do quite a few years at Children's Hospital. I quite enjoyed that, to be fair. It was good.
And when you said your football career, what level was that? Because obviously we had to do research.
Yeah.
Who's done research? Just tell me again, who's done research?
Because I'm really busy at work and he works for the government.
Give off it.
He's done the research.
Number 10 at Doncaster Belles, I do believe.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I'll tell you what I've seen on when I did me. I'll not say stalking because it's Carlo who does a bit of stalking. When I've done my obviously expert research on Wikipedia and LinkedIn and all that sort of thing.
I'm not on Wikipedia, am I?
You are, funnily enough, yeah. It's amazing what you. Anyway, no, I'll not say anymore.
Yeah, let's see. I'll not be googling.
There is an action photo. There's actually a couple of action photos of you, and I'm guessing it's against Arsenal.
Yeah, that was a League Cup final. That was against Arsenal.
League Cup final in 2009. Yes.
Yeah, it's been ages ago. Yeah.
You going in for a tackle. I can't remember now name it Arsenal player that you're up against on, but it's a really good picture.
Yeah, there's one against Kelly Smith. I think that's my little claim to fame. Was chasing her around for 90 minutes. Yeah. She was too good.
So how long were you at Donny Belles for? Were you there for a while?
Yeah, well, I played since I was a young one. Obviously, I played with the boys team when I was little, and then when I was too old to play for boys teams, I had to go to women. So I played at Doncaster Belles and Leeds Centre of Excellence at Leeds United.
Brilliant.
I played in the women's prem from about 15, and then I injured my knee at 18, and then carried on until I was about 21, 22, and then I did my other knee and then just sacked it off.
I've got to be honest though, when I have been looking at you, so to speak, that sounds really wrong. Sorry, Carlo.
Sorry, it's the police. I'm just telling him it's.
I know. It's all right.
I've got to be honest. There's not a great deal of information out there, so I get the feeling that you are quite a private person.
Yeah, I kind of tried to keep things private-ish. I do obviously post on social media like Instagram and stuff like most people do, but I don't really give much away. I think you've got to be a little bit careful when you're working in football and as a physio as well as a medical professional. You can't be just. I'm not saying I've got a rock and roll lifestyle because I really haven't, but.
Is it right then that you're doing a masters at Bath?
I am, yeah. It's been put on hold a little bit, but to finish it, I've just got to do my research project. But part of that's doing data collection, which is obviously a bit difficult with COVID time, so I'm a bit delayed with it. But hopefully, I'll get that done by the end of this year. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
What was it like then? Because obviously you were still, well, compared to us, everybody's young, but you were still quite young when you had that injury, and then you have to change your whole sort of, I suppose, your career aspirations. Yeah. Did you want it to go in football? Was that sort of like a long-term?
No, considering I've played football all my life, it had never even crossed my mind to do physio in football. It was like I say, I got a job in the NHS at Children's Hospital, and it was only because I hurt my knee and I couldn't play. But I couldn't work, sorry, that I was twiddling my thumbs. So I thought I need to keep going, and then it just came up on Sport England website. So I was like, oh, and then just obviously realised how much I enjoyed it and how much I didn't actually miss playing myself, but I enjoyed working in it.
I suppose Barnsley Football Club, isn't it? On the pitch, the team is about putting the right player in the right position.
Yeah.
Very much a feeling, especially the last couple of years, that actually behind the team, that's there as well. Is it? And is it hard? There's not many females in the male football world, is there? I mean, you know what I mean?
No, it is. I mean, I think it is getting more prevalent, but there is a bit few and in between. So one of my best friends, she used to work at Barnsley with me. Actually, she worked in the academy when I was first team with Sedgy. She moved on to Sheffield United, but she's physio there. But I don't know how much. Like with Barnsley, I know the media team, they like to kind of push the fact that I'm a female working in men's environment, which is really good. But I don't really see a lot of it like being advertised, because I do see quite a lot of females. Like because obviously when we play up against other teams, we have a little chat with the physio and the medical department there, and there's loads of females around, but there's just I don't know. I don't see it advertised a lot either, but it should be really, because it's a positive thing.
Yeah, 100%. So fans live for 3 o'clock on a Saturday and then maybe 7 o'clock on a Wednesday as well.
Yeah.
For you though, what does a working week looks like? Because for the layman like me, sometimes thinking, well, if there's nobody injured, you must just have cups of tea with Sedge all week and saying, where we're going? Oh, we're going on the bus to Preston on Saturday. What does a working week look like for you?
We do drink a lot of tea. But generally, generally, obviously during the week, as it stands at the minute with the manager that we've got in, he quite likes an afternoon training session, to be fair, which is really good for us, because it means that we get loads of time in the morning to spend with injuries, and then we get them boxed off, and then the squad come in, we can concentrate on the squad then and getting them ready for training and for the games. So that works really well for us, we find, because we can spend because sometimes if you're trying to get injuries done at the same time as the squad, you kind of split yourself quite a lot. So training in the afternoon works really well with us, we found. But yeah, so you're basically in. So if the players are off, say if they get a couple of days off after the weekend, we'll normally get 1 day off maybe, or we share it. And the injuries are normally in with us, to be fair. So it's not all hunky dory and having loads of days off, unfortunately. But it's good again, because you get loads of time to spend with injuries when it's quiet and there's no one else around. But yeah, so you're just building through the week, really. Obviously, there's normally injuries, to be fair. There's normally a couple at least. But we've touched wood. We've actually done really well this season. Like obviously we've had injuries. But I think we've managed to sustain quite a large squad most of the time, which is really good, which is credit to some of the players as well, because a lot of the fans don't know that a lot of them are playing with injuries a lot of the time. They're managing them, and we're managing them through training throughout the week to get them ready for the match day. But yeah, it's non-stop really. If we're not treating the injuries, we're getting the lads ready for games. That's kind of ball rolling throughout the week.
And in the field or in the work that you do, we've talked before to other people, coaches. They say that over the last sort of 10, 15 years, even training's changed a lot, hasn't it? It used to be a ball, 11 players, and it's about the keep fit, about technique. And now we've got drones flying over, we've got GPS, What about in your field? Because we saw pictures, was it earlier this week with Halleck and Anderson? Was it an ice bath or whatever they were having?
Yeah, I saw that picture. Oh, they love the ice baths, them too.
how is that sort of coming along? Because they keep coming up with new ways of sort of like recovery, and has there been many changes since you've been in post?
Since I've been in, I think these sort of techniques have kind of been introduced anyway. I think that's been quite a prevalent thing, because I've been in the game 10 years now, 9 years. So it's been quite like that anyway. But I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is the thing with like you say, the GPS, and that's something that we as physios use a lot as well. So a lot of our rehabilitation, so we do typical bed rehab stuff, but on in the gym. But we also do a lot of the out on the field stuff as well, getting them ready to get back into training, like along with sports science. But the GPS monitoring is massive, like to make sure that they're hitting all the markers, so they can cope with it, not just from an injury point of view, but from a physical point of view, the conditioned, ready to go back into training, and to be able to keep up with the team there. So that is a big thing for us, is the GPS monitoring, to be fair. Massive. Like, recovery is huge, and this, especially this manager as well, is really big on it. So you often find that after a game that the lads that have played the majority of the minutes in the game will have an extra recovery day, and they'll be doing things like you've seen with Mads doing. They'll do ice baths and a lot of like yoga and foam rolling and stretching and stuff like that.
So like Carlo says, technology obviously over the last 10 years has improved.
Yeah, massively.
Would you say that the attitude, because let's be honest, it's always been a male-orientated sport.
Yeah.
Would you say the attitude towards sort of female physios, now female linesmen, female referees even coming in, do you think that's going in the right direction? You know,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you generally see a lot more females around, especially like your pundits as well, and people at Sky Sports. You're seeing a lot more women now taking the lead on them shows as well. Now I've seen is Alex Scott taking the lead on one, I think. But yeah, so I think it is a lot more accepted. I've never really had a problem with it, if I'm being honest. Since I started here, I've always been accepted. I don't know if it's because of my personality and my sense of humour. I don't know, but I personally have never really had a problem with it. And I've always.
Have you got a good right hook as well?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I do. Yeah. In my spare time.
and don't forget, you bring the tea bags, and that's why.
Bring the chocolate. You can't go wrong with that, really. No, I've never really had a problem with it. I mean, the lads here are really respectful. Like I've always been. I don't know if it's just because I've worked at teams like Barnsley, but a team like Barnsley who. They don't really attract the big egos. I don't know if that's because of how we recruit or what, but I feel like the lads have always been on like a level playing field with me, been really respectful. I mean, the lads at the end of the day, you've got to give as good as you get, but I've never had one problem, and I've always enjoyed it, to be honest.
Do you have one particular player, and you don't have to mention any names, obviously, but is there one particular player then that's sort of coming to physios every day, you know, a bit of a Doc Cotton sort of character? He's got niggles also, but there's not actually no wrong with him.
You get a couple that just want a little bit TLC, a little arm on the shoulder, and just tell them they're all right. A little bit of a cuddle, in a professional manner, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get that. But you know your players. Some of them will stay away from the physio room, not interested in coming anywhere near it unless they've got a real problem. And then others that are in and out here all the time. Just like some of them like a bit of social as well. To be honest, I like a bit of a chat, a bit of a massage. Bit of TLC, but to be honest, whatever gets them back out on the field and play 90 minutes and get us 3 points, you just give them what that player needs, really.
Yeah, true.
Since Daniel Stendhal's sort of era, the style of football somewhat changed, didn't it? We became a lot more high energy,
high press,
and obviously Struber saying it seems to have gone to yet another level up under Valerian Ismail. Does that have an impact on your workload?
To be honest, we obviously as physios, when we see a different style coming in, we see more high press, which obviously more sprinting, which you'd expect more maybe soft tissues like hamstring injuries. But you expect that, but to be honest, I don't think we have. That's one thing that we thought would happen, and we thought we'd have to manage the players until they conditioned to that style of play. But to be honest, no, we've not really seen a big change. I don't know if it's because the players are young, maybe, and they're adaptable when they are a bit younger, or we do just recruit players that are good at obviously the sprinting sort of aspect of the game, or whether they're just well conditioned, or whether it's because of the way that we're able to manage under this manager. We are able to manage players if they've got odd niggles and stuff. We can always manage them for a session or give them extra recovery or whatever we feel like they need to get them through the week into the game. I'm not sure, but no, we've actually not seen as big a difference as what we might have expected.
I suppose that's part of it's part of almost that recruitment, isn't it? If they're used to that style, I suppose the impact on the body and everything is maybe not as much.
They might just be well trained to it already before they come in. Not sure whether that's obviously there to do with their bodies or whether we're able to manage them better when they're in here. I'm not sure, but we've actually not. Yeah, I think it was actually quite surprising.
What about? So we know obviously you're enormously busy. Talk to us about Sedge, because Sedge has been an ever-present. Is he like your big brother? Is he like your work husband? How? Because
I call him my work hubby.
Yeah, I did email Andy Clark. I thought, and I put, what about a Vikki stroke Sedge sort of like dual show kind of thing?
Yeah.
Sedge's camera shy didn't want to do that.
Did he not?
That relationship. I've always wondered. On match day, Ismail chooses a squad. Murray does the warm up. Let's say on Saturday, Barnsley play Preston. Daryl DK gets mowed down in the penalty area. How do you decide whether you or Sedge go to this player? I've always wondered this. Is it
No, so usually Sedge is the head physio, obviously. So usually the head physio, you'd normally see, you'd be the main one that does the running. They run on the pitch, I'll be on the sideline, I'll go on if needed. But as I've taken more of a role into the stepped up towards the first team, is really good in the fact that it gives me an equal opportunity to develop, really. So we now, for the last couple of seasons, we've now took it in turns. So your game, my game, your game, my game. So we always take it in turns on who does what game, and then obviously they're the first runner, and then if they need help, then the next runner comes on. So I'm really lucky in that respect. He's really given me an opportunity to develop as a physio in this industry, which I'm really thankful for, to be honest. Because without that exposure to having to deal with them problems on a pitch, you're never gonna develop. So I've had a lot of exposure, which is really good.
So talking about, oh sorry, Carl. So I'm just thinking, talking about exposure and the chance that we might end up going up to Premiership, which is obviously, like you say, it wasn't something that you planned for. No. If we do get there, or if we don't, is it now an aspiration of yours that you want to be a female physio in the Premiership, whether it be with Barnsley, or whether you think, you know what, if we can't get there, I'm going to go to, you know, you look at the facilities maybe at Man City or Manchester United, and that must be a tempter, isn't it? You know, for that high end.
Yes and no. I mean, to work in the Prem with Barnsley would be brilliant. Obviously, I'd love that. There's no higher aspect, really, is there, when you're working in men's football? But to be honest, it's not really something that I'm driven towards. It's more driven towards of having like more responsibility just in the industry and enjoying my job, to be honest. Like, you could go to a bigger club in quotation marks, and you've got loads and loads of staff, and you can just get lost in that. Whereas here, it is like a family atmosphere, and the staff, like working with the players that you work with. I really enjoy working with a bunch of squads that we've got now. Like I said, they're really respectful and really nice, genuinely nice guys, and they want to work hard as a team. And it's the same with the staff. The staff get on really well, and I think there's more. The grass ain't always greener. I think there's more to it than a bigger club with better facilities, etc., that you might find with more staff in. But I mean, I come into work every day, and I really enjoy the people that I'm working with. So to me, that's as high end as I get, really.
Yeah, that's a big difference. It's a big difference.
It's a full-on job that you've got. You know, you don't say, like Steve, for instance, I start at 9 and finish at 10:30. Your days are probably slightly.
Hey, I start at 8, me, I'll tell you.
What do you do to relax? Do you sit in front of the TV and watch football? We know you need to talk about your dog, obviously, because when we did the
have been stalking me, haven't you? So like you say, hours and schedule and stuff's very varied. So obviously it's hard for me to book in to get my hair done, my eyebrows, my eyelashes. I'm a girl, of course, so I do need to get these things done when I can. But yeah, I do like taking my dog for a walk. Yeah, put that one in there. I took her out at the weekend with a friend of mine. She's one of the physios here, actually, works in the academy now to the first team. We went in the Peak District. We did half a marathon. My poor dog, she had no legs left at the end of it. I had to carry her. But yeah, I do like to go for a walk. I do run. I do quite a bit of running, or in the gym. Sometimes if the players are doing if I'm doing rehab with the lads, it's a bit awkward just standing there watching them sometimes. So I might just do a little session alongside them as well. Gives them a bit of motivation. But yeah, I also do bits of boxing as well. There's a boxing gym that I go to in Onewell, and it just changes it up a little bit. So I get a bit antisocial just running on my own. Sometimes I run with kids as well, but I can get a bit antisocial, so I do try and force myself to do bits like keep fit with like social aspect. But yeah, watching TV. I like watching serial killer documentaries. I love them.
Line of Duty. Must be a Line of Duty watcher.
Line of Duty, yeah.
Sunday night. Come on, fella.
And the wee donkey, you must have forgot that one.
And the wee donkey, yeah.
I had that line, yeah, that was on Sunday, wasn't it?
Just something you said earlier on, with the, I can't say the type because that's not fair, the calibre of players that we get, if you look at some of them, really young lads coming over from abroad during a COVID pandemic, is the physio room like a bit of a safe space when you know what I mean? Because it must be, when you talk about your Anderson, your Helix, Daryl DK, it's a lot, isn't it, to leave everybody behind to come to a town like Barnsley, and I mean that in the nicest sort of way, but it's not London or Manchester, is it? Like where all the nightlife is. But during COVID, is it sort of like part of your role also just to have a cup of tea or just to have a chat with them to make sure that not the physical but also the emotional well-being is looked after?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the lads that you've mentioned are pretty self-sufficient. You don't really see much of them, and they just kind of crack on and they'll. I think they keep themselves to themselves, or they might obviously at the minute it's difficult, like you say, because of COVID. They're not able to. Usually the lads will like book a table and they'll go for a team meal once a month or something like that, just to try and keep obviously like team cohesion, so to speak. Them lads that you've kind of mentioned, they just kind of crack on really. You don't really see much of them, but yeah, like you do find that generally. I mean, it's difficult at the minute because we have to restrict how many players are in the physio room at one time, and obviously you've got masks on and stuff like that. So it's not quite as sociable as what it usually is. But you do find in normal times that can be part of our role as well. And they'll ask where's good to live, where's good to eat, and you do kind of have a bit of a social with them, make sure they're obviously managing all right, and they're obviously well looked after. But yeah, you do find that with some players, they do like to come in and have a bit of a chat with you, which I don't mind. It's quite nice. It's a bit, especially if they're coming in for a massage or something, it can be a bit awkward for 20 minutes if you're not actually speaking to each other.
Like being married, Carlo, isn't it? Look?
I was just going to say that sounds like very situated. What about COVID though? Because that added another dimension to your work. Because am I right in thinking that you said to the other ones, you're responsible for all the testing and everything as well? Yeah,
so me and Sedge do at the minute, part of the EFL, you have to test twice a week. So there is a lot more to it now as well. Obviously we've got to make sure that everyone's testing. So that just adds another hour on top of our normal day, like twice a week, where you have to make sure that that's in there as well. But it's good. It means it's obviously we know. Like it's good to know that everyone's safe, and although you have to it took a while to tell the lads that everyone's negative, but we've still got to follow these guidelines. It's like, well, why do we have to do this and this if we're all negative? It's like, well, because obviously it's not, and nothing's 100%, it's not 100% science. So, but yeah, they've been really good with it, to be fair, and they've stuck to the rules that we've put in place. And it's been good with the fact that you find a lot of lads now are not needing so much from the physios because they've learned to self-manage a little bit, which is good. Obviously, we're there if they need anything, of course. But I think a lot of them have learned as well that they perhaps don't need a massage to maybe get them to the next training session, to the next game. And they've actually, some of them have formed like a little stretching group and a little foam rolling group and stuff, which is good to see.
And because you played football, when you sit in the dugout, or obviously not the dugout, but you sit at the side of the pitch, let's say Preston on Saturday, do you watch from the viewpoint of, oh, it looks like he's got a niggle, or oh, that could be a head injury, or do you watch because you're a fan of football and you're watching a match?
I'm just constantly looking for an injury. That's pretty much all I do. I'll go home and someone will say to me, "How was the game? How did so-and-so play?" I'm like, I don't know. Because I'm not following the ball, I'm following what's happened before. Do you know what I mean? Like from before the ball's been kicked, etc. So when I played it, I loved a crunching tackle, but now when I see one go in, we're like, oh. So your aspect completely changes. Like whereas you'll see like a ball coming over the top and someone might duck down, and I'm thinking, oh, thank God he's ducked. But the manager's going mental saying, "You've got to put your head on that," and I'm like, well, me and said, you're like, oh, thank God he didn't. But so you see, obviously I want him to perform, that's not what I'm getting at, but it's more of the you see that protect, because we're always second guessing what's going to happen in like injury wise. You can just see it coming before it's happened. So but yeah, I'll just look for the injuries basically. I don't watch the game.
And other times when there is an injury that you're treating, that you have to put your foot down and say, no, you're not, you need to come off. Because I always think every player seems to, that badge means so much to them, don't they? Right? We buy the shirt because we want that badge, but they're wearing it. And I think you often see when, there must be times where you say, no, that's it, it's not good for you, because they just want to play, don't they?
Yeah, it has happened a couple of times, and it's a difficult situation when you're obviously trying to look after the safety of the player, and rightly so, they want to play because obviously they want to do the best for the team and perform, and obviously the manager wants them on the pitch if they can stay on. But yeah, it's always a iffy ground, especially with things like head injuries as well. That's always a big one. That's a difficult one. It's never black and white. Obviously we have to go with how we've been trained and the safety of the player. And it's not always what the player wants, unfortunately. But luckily enough, again, like I've said loads of times, the gaffer that's here now is brilliant with regards to trying to look after injuries and man management and stuff. He's really good with, and he's really trusting of his staff as well, which is really good.
That's great, isn't it? We've never seen him. We've only ever seen him on TV, so we can't. We
don't know whether he's real or not, do we? He's just a picture.
He's real.
Just superimposed.
He's real. He's a very good guy. Very respectful. Very nice to work for. We couldn't ask for better, really, to be honest.
Steve, have you got any more questions? Because I
suppose the one thing that I'd be interested to know when you are sat in the dugout, because you've played, and if you played that, did you play that number 10 role? Were you a prolific goal scorer? Did you set them all up?
No, I don't even know why I was number 10 because I was a holding midfielder.
All right, you got wrong shirt on.
I know, I had no idea why I was given number 10 because when I played number 10 in that game, all I did was man mark Katie Chapman, I think it was. So.
All right. No, I just wondered when you're actually watching them play, do you say to yourself, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that"? Are you slightly critical to a certain extent? Go on, admit it.
I can be a little bit with myself, but I don't ever say it out loud because I'm probably wrong most of the time. And it doesn't look right when you've got a physio trying to give information or giving their opinion on the game when I've got a clue about it, if I'm being honest. But
you do sit there sometimes and think, well, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have played that pass.
But yeah, I might think it to myself, but I'd never say it out loud. I might get funny looks from the coaches.
Brilliant.
My last question is really, do you think it's helped you in this role, the fact that you played at that level?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because you can empathise a little bit of injuries with regards to, obviously, part of my role is doing outside rehab as well. So the fact that I can play the balls in and take a touch and try and create drills based on what needed from the position as well. So like when they start to get, obviously when you first start doing your outside rehab, it's more about what does that injury need. But when you get towards the end of it, it's more what does he need to do in that position to be able to obviously cope with the demands of the game. So it does help having that. I say I ain't got any knowledge, I've got a little bit of knowledge. But it's good to have that bit of knowledge to obviously try and condition the player back to full fitness. And obviously it helps if I can play a ball into them and move a little bit as well. I can move now and I've had my knees operated on. So.
Vikki, first off, thank you very much for taking the time out. We know it's late on a Wednesday. You're probably ready to go home and take the dog for a walk. And we're sorry we kept you, but it's just
no, it's fine.
We just found that everybody's focusing on that team and the manager and the CEO and everybody behind. But they can't do their job unless there's people like you. So thank you very much for taking the time.
It's okay.
Best of luck against Preston, Norwich, Brentford home and away, and then win Bournemouth at Wembley, because it's all written in the stars, isn't it?
I like that.
Yeah. It's all sorted. If Valerian Ismail comes to you after we win at Wembley and say, is there anything you need when we go into the Premier League? Is there any sort of wishes or whatever? Is there anything from a physiotherapy department they say that's on our wish list? Like fans say, if we make it, we need to sign Daryl DK. And, others might say, we need to renovate the West End. What about from a physio? Do you want a little swimming pool somewhere at Oakwell or an ice gym?
A new sponge?
There's loads of stuff that we could ask for, I guess. The list is never ending in football. There's so many things that you could ask for. A little physio revamp would be nice in the office and the physio room. But no, not really. We're always, to be fair, we manage with what we need, and we've quite recently had a gym revamp anyway, we've got a really nice gym, which is really good. There's not a lot that we need really. It's just we're always putting little wish lists in of we could do with this, we could do with that, but nothing. I don't think there's anything groundbreaking that we don't have that we don't need, to be honest. Like sometimes you can complicate things if you have too much stuff.
Well, that's true, and whatever we've got. And that's the people, it's working, isn't it? Because I've been really surprised. I don't want to use the word lucky because that's not fair to those that have had injuries like Ben Williams, but we've not had many games where, somebody's been out for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks because of injury. We know Ben Williams, obviously, Liam Kitchen, we're yet to see, and I'm sure we will very, very soon. Yeah. But we have been really lucky, and I'm pretty sure the work that you said and all the other physios do is a huge part of that. So
I don't want to jinx it, but we have this season, which it helps, doesn't it, performance-wise? If you've got a big selection of players, it massively helps. Obviously, that's credit to the staff, the manager, the players as well. Like you said, like I said, like you don't realise that some of the players are actually playing with injuries sometimes, and that's just for willingness to wanting to play. And obviously, we have to give our advice and we have to manage them as best we can, but ultimately it's their body, and if they decide they want to play with a certain injury, then as long as obviously it's not anything really substantial, then we have to step in at sometimes. But like credit to the players, because they do play with a lot of people don't understand that, but they do play with pain and they're always tired, and so credit to them, I guess. Well. And
don't forget credit to the staff and to everybody as well, because it's it's a good place. It's a good time to talk about Barnsley because not only because of the playoffs, but I think we're just in a good place altogether. Thank you very, very much. Go let your dog out because it doesn't want to go out.
Take a walk.
Thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us.
No, not a problem, guys. Nice to speak to you.
All right.
Cheers,
Thanks,
Vicki.
Vicki.
Thank you,
See you
love.
later. Bye-bye.
Cheers, love. Bye-bye.
Bye.